President Trump had his first State of the Union address on January 31st. While most of the Korean media highlighted his hardline message against North Korea, what also caught the public attention was the congresswomen who were wearing black. This nonverbal statement has gained popularity to support the Me Too campaign, or #MeToo, that discloses cases of sexual harassment and assault against women in various sectors of American society. Me Too was a buzzword in the U.S. last year, but this year it seems to be Korea's turn. A female prosecutor has revealed that male prosecutors, including high-ranking ones, have sexually harassed her and other female prosecutors. Her disclosure instantly grabbed public attention, and the outpouring of similar or worse cases followed. They span from cases in the media industry to the corporate world. Watching the Me Too campaign in the U.S. last year, many Koreans thought that our society was no better. For them, the recent burst of revelations was just a matter of time. The only difference is that Korea is a little belated in its revelation. But what's most important is not the timing. If we fail to act on the current revelations to raise public awareness about the seriousness of the issue, all of this will be for nothing. It took a lot of courage for the prosecutor to break her silence and bring attention to the problem. Our society should not sit idle. Recent public anger and support came to light when a female government lawyer claimed she was sexually assaulted by one of her superiors. A female prosecutor exposed an environment rife with sexual harassment. This has caused the public to pay more attention. So before I mentioned the recent public and anger support came to light, if something comes to light, that means it was in the darkness or in the shadows. It means it was secret or hidden, or no one was talking to it. So this was something that was secretive and it came to light. Now everyone knows about it. Next, we're going to talk about she was sexually assaulted. So there's a difference between sexual harassment and sexual assault. Sexual harassment is not as serious, although bad in general, but sexual harassment is more verbal or more suggestive. It can even mean if someone is looking at someone else inappropriately, that's sexual harassment. It can even be through email or phone calls. But sexual assault is when someone's personal space has been invaded, or they've been touched in an inappropriate way, or grabbed, or even worse. That's sexual assault. And then I said exposed an environment rife with sexual harassment. If something is rife with something, it means it's very prevalent. There is a lot of it. So in the slums of a poor country, it is rife with disease. Or in certain governments is rife with corruption. It means a lot of it, and it's everywhere. Now cases of sexual harassment and assault have been popping up in the private sector. It will soon be known who are the victims and sexual predators in our society. So I said sexual harassment and assault have been popping up. Popping up means it happens or occurs at random all over the place. You know, one is over here, the other one is there. There's almost no prediction. It's very random. And I said popping up in the private sector. So we call the public sector usually the government. So she worked as a prosecutor for the government. That is public sector. But private sector is business. So media, banking, tourism, education, those are all private sector jobs. And then I said victims and sexual predators. Sexual predators are people who use their power to find victims and prey on them, either through like how an animal looks for a smaller animal, predator versus prey. So they prey on victims and use their power for their own benefit against their victims. Recent events have triggered a chain reaction of women speaking out against sexual harassment in all areas of Korea. So recent events have triggered. So to trigger means to start something, a chain reaction. So to trigger a chain reaction means if, let's say, this prosecutor, she spoke out, that causes another woman to speak out, and that causes someone else to speak out, and so on and so on. So by this one person doing something, it causes a series of events. So we call that a chain reaction. One event happens, then another and another and another. The Korean Me Too movement came just in time to stem the tide of sexual harassment in our country's workplaces. So first, we're going to talk about Me Too. It was originally hashtag Me Too. It was started by a social activist who put it out to say that if you were on Twitter or Instagram and you were a victim of sexual harassment or assault, you would put hashtag Me Too. And then a Hollywood actress started using it, and she started putting it on her Twitter and Instagram, and other actresses followed. So that's how it became popular. But it was to speak out against the sexual harassment, mostly against by producer of Miramax, Harvey Weinstein, or I should say former producer. And then I said it came just in time to stem the tide of sexual harassment. To stem the tide or stem the flow means to slow something down or reduce it to almost nothing, to almost get rid of it. So if something's coming and coming, you want to stem the tide or stem the flow, it means to reduce by a lot. Me Too Korea has been making waves recently in society. Although it arrived late, it is having a positive impact for victims of sexual assault. So I said making waves. Making waves is when someone or something causes something to gain attention or to disturb something or to do something good for a group of people that wasn't there before. Imagine if you're in the ocean, it's calm, then you start splashing around. You are making waves. You are making something happen. Sexual harassment and assault is a reflection of what happens when people abuse the power they have over others. So when people abuse the power they have over others, they use their power or their influence or their position, and they use it against other people. They might say, hey, if you don't have sex with me, you'll lose your job. That's power abuse. Being sexually objectified in the workplace by someone above you will make the victim feel helpless. Victims stay silent in fear of losing their job. So I said being sexually objectified. That means you're treated like an object. You're no longer a person. So you're just a sexual object. So people don't think of you as a human being. So it's quite insulting, especially for someone who's in a less powerful position. And then secondly, I said victims stay silent in fear of losing their jobs. So staying silent means if something bad is happening to you or other people and you don't say anything, that means you stay silent. Before saying or doing something inappropriate at work, people should put themselves in the shoes of their daughters or sisters in the same situation. So when I said doing something inappropriate, inappropriate doesn't necessarily mean sexual assault or harassment. It can be a dirty joke. It could be a comment about something rude. It could be something racist. It could be something childish, just something not professional. And then when I said put themselves in the shoes of their daughters, so we have this idiom, put yourself in their shoes, meaning, take yourself and think about the other person. Think about what they're thinking or what they're feeling. So put yourself in her shoes or his shoes or their shoes means think about how they think or feel. Don't think about how you think or feel. Compare yourself to the other person. People involved in sexual abuse need to stop and think about how they will affect the person they are abusing. Thanks, everybody, and have a great New Year holiday. Bye-bye.